All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining in today. My name is Matt Chimento. I'm going to be teaching a webinar dedicated to web design for small businesses. Um, Unlike the title, it is a difficult process to be hands-on. So we will be, as much as possible, hands-on with the learning, with the questions, with the follow-throughs, but you would have to have individual accounts for all the stuff we're talking about. You'd have to have a basic understanding of how to use them ahead of time if you were going to follow through in real time. So a lot of this webinar is going to be based on showing you how to do something on a recorded session, so that if any point in time you have questions you want to follow again, you can go back and rewatch it. And answering questions that you may have about web design in general, about websites, about DNS systems, about domain names, about security, about really whatever. So we'll introduce all these concepts in with the first couple of minutes with this presentation, and then we'll open the floor to questions. If you have questions for me, please use the Zoom Q&A question and answer dialogue. There's a place for you to put your questions in. I can answer them on screen that way, and that way people can queue up in order, so I'm not skipping anybody. We'll also be able to turn mics on at a certain point in time if we don't have too many people. And then I just ask that you keep your mic muted if you're not using it at the moment, and then we'll turn it on. We'll be designated that. Okay, so let's begin. This is specifically a workshop about small business websites and how to use them for your business. So we have to ask the question, what is the purpose of a website? In particular, in this instance, it's what is the purpose of your business's website? And the answer to that should be A, drive sales, and 2, create customers. Or I guess 1, drive sales, 2, create customers. Those two goals, those two purposes, the mission of your website should really dictate the features and the content and the use of your site, and allow you to be able to determine what needs to be gone from your site. So personal blogs and news tickers that aren't related to your industry, and information or YouTube videos that don't have nothing to do with your business, or that don't result in either of these two things happening. Get rid of all that stuff. Your website isn't a MySpace page anymore. It's not a Facebook page where you just kind of share whatever you're thinking. Keep those where they belong, on Facebook, on MySpace, on Instagram, on your own personal website. And your business site is a reflection of your business. So it should be as professional as it could be. That doesn't mean that if your business is revolving around you as a brand, or you as a content creator or something, that it's not about your own stuff. But make sure that if you are a content creator and your brand is built around you, that you are also posting and creating content that is intended to drive sales and create customers. So again, it helps you kind of determine what needs to be stripped out and what needs to be focused on. Here's some research for you. If you want, you can screenshot this, or go back and watch the video again and pause it here. These are some questions for you to ask yourself and write down or remember during the build or redesign process. These questions will, kind of like doing your research for a business plan, these questions will help you figure out, okay, here is what my competitors are doing. This seems to be a very similar sort of site in my industry. I'm gonna, why not follow along if it's working for them? What kind of leads are they getting? How many images are you working with? Is it mostly text, or is it a lot of visuals? I'm not going to go through each one of these individually, but you get the idea. These answers will be helpful. And I apologize. I'm pretty sure I have allergies. So if I'm not 100%, I apologize for that. Some other questions another question that may be answered with a lot of that research and with figuring out what other folks in the industry are doing is, do you even need a website? There's a lot of free tools out there that people can use just fine in order to make their business extremely successful online. So a lot of folks will use Instagram pages. The photos, the video, the reels, the real time, live video stuff, the way that you can reach an enormous audience very quickly, the way that you can connect it to Facebook and reach your audience over there, the ability to link to your website on the profile page, the ability to sell products directly on a post. It's amazing what you can do with an Instagram account. And so if you have a business specific Instagram account, you get access to all those features. You get access to analytics and measurement tools. So you know who's interacting with your page. You have the ability to message people directly back and forth, along with the comments and the likes and the interactions on a per post basis. You can also drive people to message you or talk to you directly in a conversation. You can delegate roles to staff members. So it's not just you. Everybody logs in with the business app, the Facebook or the Meta business app now. And you can assign tasks and roles and abilities that way. So it's an amazing tool. A lot of folks are using TikTok. That's a new one now, and that's where they're getting their whole business is shines through TikTok. Review sites as well, Google Maps or Yelp or Angie's List, a local painter that we work with for our home. He does all of his business online through Angie's List. No website, no email marketing campaigns, not even a Facebook page, just Angie's List. It's all his business from there. So it works for some people. For some folks, it probably won't. There's a lot of businesses where it just doesn't work. Social media just doesn't translate to that business model or the services provided. But if you're in the right industry, if you're usually it's a products-based business that really works best for it. Jewelry or clothing or something like that, where it's very much visual. It's about the visuals and the photos that you're going to be taking. Do your research, see if other folks in your industry, if other folks in your area with the same kind of products or sales required are doing very well on their Instagram page. And if you could save a whole lot of money and never need a website. Okay, so the next thing that I do like to talk about, I'll kind of throw it in there. It's important to me, and I think it should be important to a lot more people now, is security and data management. So you are responsible as a business owner, not just for your own data, not just for the data of your staff members, but for the data of your customers. Any website that you build, any social media that you use to gather information, to make sales, that tool is gathering and saving information. If you use a website and you sell a product on your website and somebody enters their credit card information in, you've saved that person's address and their name and their email and potentially their credit card information. And if you're not using good security practices and somebody breaks into your website and steals that information, you're at fault, not the person that gave you their credit card number. So make sure that you are using as much security, following as much security best practices as you can. I can't stress enough. It's so important now. It's very, very easy to be hacked. It's very easy to be compromised by some tool out there floating around in email attachment. So it's not just something you can ignore anymore or say, I have an iPhone or whatever. It doesn't matter. Make sure you follow good practices, because it's going to be incredibly important. And then the more information you're gathering, the more customers you work with, the more important it is. Okay, and we can talk about that later. If you have any questions, we can always answer those. Okay, so here's some basic website terminology that you'll probably hear me say or somebody else say sometime, during your travels around the internet. And one of the biggest ones is, what's the difference between a domain name and a URL? Difference is, a URL, everybody has a URL when it comes to their website, when it comes to anything on the internet. Everything is a URL. A URL is an address. So that could be a website address, www.amazon.com. That could be an email address, mike@amazon.com. That could be an image on a website. It could be http:// or images.amazon.com/2023/January/ ballet shoe one, .jpg. It could be anything. The way that everything on the internet is found, loaded on a browser or saved anywhere is through URLs. So, so how do you make sure that your URL is unique and you can differentiate your stuff on your website from everybody else's URLs? That's done through the domain name, the beginning part of that URL. Amazon.com, Walmart.com, BestBuy.com. Those are domain names. Those domain names were purchased and are owned by somebody. And as long as they retain access to that domain name, their website is theirs, their content is theirs, everything that belongs on their hosting servers, anything that belongs on their hard drives, that's theirs, and it's unique from everybody else's because nobody else can have the exact same domain that you do. It has to be unique. So if you have the opportunity, go out and purchase yourself a domain name. You can go to cloudflare.com. You can go to oh boy, there's there's tons and tons of them. GoDaddy.com is one. I don't recommend using them anymore, but you can go there. You can go anywhere. There's always another one I always forget the name of, but there's tons and tons of them out there. You can just search where to buy a domain name, and you'll find lists and lists and lists of them. I usually recommend Namecheap. It's one of the better ones out there. It's one of the cheaper ones, and they have a lot of features in there that are usually paid features on GoDaddy. Either way, go and get one. They're $15 a year on a recurring basis. It's worth it as a business. It's an investment into your business. And even if you don't have your own website, your domain name can be redirected to somewhere else. You'll be redirected to your Facebook page or to a landing page somewhere, or even to like a mail to email address. It's amazing what you can do with a domain name. So get one. Make sure that it's as short, as easy to type and read and say, and as related to your business as it could possibly be. There's a lot of them out there that are being bought up in order to be resold. So try not to buy one that's like $3,000 or $100,000. Try to get one that's basic pricing, which is like between $8 and $15. And then after that, it's $15 a year. And that's it. And just make sure that you have recurring payments set up so that you don't ever lapse, because as soon as you lapse, somebody else is going to buy it from you, and then you'll have to pay extra for it. Okay, yeah, I'll put that in here. It's a namecheap.com. This is the one that I recommend the most. I use it for all my own stuff, but you can go anywhere else too. There's, oh boy, let me see. I'll go find a couple of them. Let's see. There's another really good one that I always forget the name of. Network Solutions. The one is forget. Solutions. And then I've also I don't recommend using some of the other ones. I honestly don't recommend using Google domains either. I don't care for that. There's one I did use. It was called porkbutton.com. It's an interesting name, but they had a really good pricing, and they had a lot of really, really solid reviews. And I've used them like once or twice before, so they were pretty cool. Anyway, those are some of them that are out there that you can use. Take advantage of them. Honestly, don't use GoDaddy. I hate to say that. If you have them already, whatever, but I don't recommend using them. They have a lot of, their business practices are about capitalizing on their name. So people know the name GoDaddy, so they make more money because they know that you'll go there first. So you'll pay, a lot more money for a domain name there than you would somewhere else because they can charge you more. So, and their customer service kind of sucks, and they charge you extra for keeping your data private publicly. Namecheap, they hide your privacy they give you privacy automatically. GoDaddy, you pay extra for that. You also pay extra for an SSL certificate, which is next, which is also done online. You shouldn't have to pay extra for an SSL certificate. It is free. So if you can, avoid GoDaddy, and if you have any questions about that, I can answer them. Okay, so a host or a hosting provider. This is next. A host. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to answer the Q&A first too. Cloudflare.com. I don't know if you can purchase a domain name on Cloudflare. Don't buy a domain name if you even if you can. Cloudflare is a DNS provider. That's down here at the bottom. They really focus on making sure that the internet is like secure and you have free SSL certificates, and that you have like it's a solid way to speed up your website. You can also pay for it. It's kind of expensive if you pay for it. But Cloudflare is a DNS provider. It's not a domain name provider. I wouldn't go with Cloudflare. Okay, so a host or a hosting provider. Now, all those files, all those URLs on the internet, those are all usually ending in a file of some kind, a PHP file or an ASP file or a HTML file or a CSS file, kind of like, or an image file, JPEGs and PNGs, videos. A lot of these files, all these files similar to files that are on your computer, a Word document, a DOC or a PNG or whatever, those have to live on a hard drive somewhere. Those hard drives are what store those files. The difference between a hard drive on your computer and a hard drive on the internet is one of them is the one on the internet is in a server. A server is a special computer that is connected to the internet and serves images and files from its hard drive to whoever's looking for it on the internet. So you get on your browser, Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox or whatever, and you type in Amazon.com. Here, I'm going to use an example. So you're going to type in Amazon.com and you visit the website. Well, let's go click on this product here, and then we'll open up the image. Okay, so this is the image. It lives in m.media-amazon.com/images/blah.jpg. This is the image file. This image lives on a server, and the server is serving my browser this image. So when I open it up, when I open the website loads all those images, all those files onto my browser, and I can see their website. If I didn't have all this stuff, I didn't have all the images, I didn't have all the CSS making it look nice, it would look like this. So all this code, this is all HTML code or JavaScript code or whatever. And this is what makes this website look the way that it does. So all of that stuff lives on a hard drive somewhere. In Amazon's case, they own the hard drives that they're serving the website from. In most cases, you are either setting up your own server in your closet or something like that, or more likely, you are paying somebody rent for their server. It's called hosting or hosting providers. So let's pretend I'm Amazon or Bluehost or GoDaddy or whoever, and I want to give you a hosting space. You come to me and you say, you're going to pay. I tell you, you're going to pay me $15 a month or whatever it winds up costing. And then you can store X amount of files with an X amount of load times and whatever on those files. And you do that every single month. And I give you I let you use my hard drive space, my servers to do that. That's what hosting is. So you're basically renting hard drive space from somebody. As long as you're not doing it yourself, you can do that. If you know how to do it yourself, it's usually cheaper, but who has the time for that? So so there's places that you can go to host your images and your files and your website. If you use a website like Squarespace, you are paying Squarespace not just for the website itself, but also for the hosting space, for the hard drive space that your website is loaded onto. If you use a WordPress website, WordPress is free, but you usually have to pay for hosting service somewhere. So if that makes sense, I can go into detail about that if you want, but that's kind of what the differentiator is. The SSL certificate, this is what turns your URL from an HTTP ://URL to an HTTPS :/ whatever. And what that does is it encrypts your connection between your browser and somebody's server. So when you are transferring images and files and text and credit card information back and forth, it is encrypted. It is a gibberish message being sent over the internet that only your two machines can understand and read correctly. Anybody who breaks into the middle can't read it. This is necessary right now. If you don't have an SSL certificate on your website, Google will put up a big splash message on their browser that says, this website is potentially extremely dangerous. Are you sure you want to visit it? It's not good for business. So get an SSL certificate. You can go to Cloudflare. You can go to any other hosting provider for the most part for free, or GoDaddy if you want to pay somebody extra for it. Either way, you can get one. Make sure it's connected to your domain name or your server and that it's working correctly. SSL certificates, at least at their basic level, are free. So you can get one for your website. The DNS is more complicated. This is what connects your domain name to all the different services it uses: the website, the email, the verification codes, the various mailing services you use, whatever. You can connect your DNS to literally an unlimited number of possibilities. So all the different subdomains that you can use with Amazon or GoDaddy or Walmart.com, you can have an unlimited number of subdomains on every single domain you purchase. And those are all built using the DNS system. So we can talk about it later if you have any questions. Okay, the difference between a domain name and a business email. While we're on the topic, a business email uses the domain name in order to act as an email address. So you can get a free email on Google by using a Gmail account. Let's say Clarissa's biscuits at gmail.com. Or if you want your own domain name to be used in your email address, you buy a domain name, clarissasbiscuits.com, and then you set up a business email service through Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace or whatever it is that you use. And then you can set up however many email addresses or accounts that you want to. For instance, Clarissa at clarissasbiscuits.com, something like that. So that's what a business email address is. And you can set those up using a certain number of services. I really only recommend two: Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. They're both about the same price. They both have the same features. It really depends on what your preference is. But once you do that, then you can set up however many emails that you want using your domain name as your email domain. Okay, so let's talk about websites, specifically websites. Let's talk about the two different types at their core, at the basic level. There's two different types of websites that you can set up for your business. Technically, there's three. We'll talk about that in a second. The main two I'm defining as site builders and as CMS systems, or open source CMS systems. A site builder, at the moment anyway, it's you'll know them by the names Squarespace or Wix or Weebly or GoDaddy site builder or Google Sites. Whatever it winds up being, what it is you use a service. Usually you pay for it. You can set up and build a website very easily using a bunch of templates they have, and then you run it, and you just make sure you pay them a certain amount of money every single month, and then you keep your site up and running, and you use their tools. Usually it's in-browser tools to build and maintain and manage your website. The alternative is an open source CMS system similar to WordPress or a Magento, or well, there's a couple other ones too. Usually it's WordPress or Magento. And those two are downloadable files that you can install yourself on a server somewhere, or a hosting provider will install them for you. And then you manage your own system. You install your own plugins and themes. You run your own code. You build your own pages. You design your own theme. And it's open source, so you don't pay as much for it on a monthly basis. All you're paying for is the hosting provider, which honestly could be about the same as you're paying a site builder. So we have to talk about those pros and cons. We're going to talk about what the difference is between those two by feature, and we'll compare them based on what your needs are, because your needs are going to be important. Your requirements for this project are going to be important when you take them into consideration. Let's talk about the pros and cons. We're going to use Squarespace as an example of site builders. So Squarespace or other site builders have very clean design, usually in-house designers that are building pages, layouts, elements that you can use and modify yourself very, very easily. It's really modern. It all works. You don't have to go into the code or anything like that. It all just works. And any features that you add into it, they also work. They've been vetted by their teams. And usually those features work pretty well. Third-party add-ons that may or may not work, you have to check those. But for the most part, anything that's built into the platform, it's going to work very easily. And making changes is extremely easy as well. All you have to do is know how to drag and drop stuff, or how to select text and change it, or what the difference is between a page and a style or color palette. They make it pretty simple for you. The idea is to make it as easy as possible to use so that you continue using them. The cons of using a site builder like Squarespace are a lot of those features that we just talked about, or that we really haven't talked about, email marketing features, or appointment booking calendars, or events calendars. Those might be hidden behind paywalls or additional pricing. So if you go to Squarespace's website, they'll tell you what their pricing is for a site that has e-commerce features or doesn't have e-commerce features. But then they don't really tell you what the other features are that you'll have to pay for if you add them. You find that out during the build process of your website. And in some cases, you may have invested hours and hours of time into that before you figure it out. That can kind of suck. If it's not compatible with something at the moment, there's a really likely chance it's not going to be compatible in the future. So keep that in mind. Features that are already built in, they can't be manually added yourself. So usually you can't build your own features in. You have to just kind of live with what's there. And if it's not there, you have to live with it anyway. And then the worst part of this for me is that your site is owned by Squarespace. So similar to that hosting where you're kind of renting space from somebody for server hard drives, you're renting your website from Squarespace. It's not yours. You can't download it. You can't install it somewhere else. You can't move it to a different hosting provider. You can't transfer it to Wix if you wanted to move to Wix. You have to rebuild it from scratch if you want to do anything with it somewhere else. It's Squarespace's website. It's their files, their tools, their features. You're just licensing the use of it at the moment. If you stop paying for it, or if you want to move it somewhere else, it's theirs. They keep it. You can keep your content, obviously. The stuff that you write or the images that you upload, those are yours. But their files are theirs. So that kind of sucks, because if you don't like Squarespace after a year and you want to move it over to Wix, or you want to build a WordPress website, you have to rebuild it over on those platforms. And all that time and energy you invested into Squarespace, it kind of goes out the window. So one of the things you have to do if you choose one of these solutions is you have to make sure that you really like this platform and that it's going to work for you in the long term. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time, effort, money potentially on building on this platform, and then very possibly moving somewhere else if you don't like it after a certain time. So research it, try it out, test it out, go find out, read reviews about it, talk to anybody else who has a website like that and see what they think about it. If you can use somebody else's website, use it as much as you can and get used to it and see if you like it, because you should be comfortable with what you're using. It's your business website. Make sure you're comfortable with it. So I can help you make that decision. Usually, if you have questions about, like, here's my site, I need this sort of thing, I can try to answer those questions. But a lot of it's going to come down to, what do you like? Does it work for your business? Does this sound like the sort of thing you're going to have to add on in the future, or that you're going to have to just do without? So those are some questions for you. These are some of the other site builders that are out there: Wix, Shopify, Weebly. These are some of the other big ones. BigCommerce is a bit more of a giant all-around platform that you can get marketing solutions for, and you can do analytics tools with it. There's a lot with it, but these are, for the most part, some of the most popular ones. Now, We're going to use WordPress as an example of open source CMS. Open source CMS is stands for CMS stands for a content management system. So rather than just being an HTML page or file that you put up there, or being something that's hidden behind somebody's servers and all you have is a login for, a CMS or an open source CMS is a set of files that have been licensed to you for free. You don't have to pay anybody to use a WordPress website. You download those files, or more likely, you go to a hosting provider and say, install WordPress on the hosting provider. It installs it, and then you have a new install. It's a brand new website, and you log in and you can modify that site and the backend administrative panel, or you can go through an FTP or an SFTP, a dialogue, and manage the files of that CMS directly. You can even go into the SQL database tables and modify those directly if you know anything about that. So it gives you full control over your website from a very granular level. The downside is you have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to get lost very quickly. So pros, let's talk about the pros of this. You can install themes and tools, and for the most part, this stuff is either free or pretty low cost. You can usually find some lower cost stuff if you research more. So for instance, there's a builder out there called Elementor. Elementor is a monthly price thing. There's a lot of themes out there that don't charge you on a monthly basis. They charge you a one-time 60 or 70 bucks, and that's it. So you can save a lot of money if you look around a little bit more, if you research what's out there. Or ask me, I can try to help you out too. They will integrate, those CMS systems will integrate with anything because you have such granular level. You can get into the code. You can build your own functions. You can build your own APIs. You can connect to API services like Zapier and get some old outdated accounting software connected to your website that wouldn't connect anywhere else. So there's a lot that you can do with it because you have that kind of control, like granularity. And because those files are licensed to you for free, you own your site. Any changes you make to your site, those are your site changes. If you want, you can download your site to your computer and upload it somewhere else. If your hosting provider makes any changes to its licensing agreement that you don't like, you can just transfer it or migrate it over somewhere else. It'll be done in like 30 minutes, and you have your site somewhere else. So you have full control of your website, which I do like when it comes to businesses. As a business, you should own your stuff. Now, here are the cons. There's a lot of cons. Making changes, you're going to need to know what you're doing. You're going to have to watch a lot of YouTube videos. You're going to have to get on LinkedIn Business or LinkedIn Learning and take a couple of courses, or have to do WordPress, workshops with me a lot more often, or whatever it winds up being. You have to know what you're doing, because if you don't, it can get very confusing and you can feel like you're losing control over your website. That's not a good place to be in. Or in some cases, you may not even want control of your website, and then you hire somebody to do it for you. So we'll talk about that later. If a theme or plugin that you're using on your website loses its support, you're out of luck. If that developer that was building it says we don't want to work on it anymore, or we're done developing it, then either you have to keep developing it and make sure that it's up to date with security practices, or you have to say, get rid of it and install something else. And because WordPress is depending on the CMS you're using, I should say, depending on the CMS, your hosting requirements may be pricey, as pricey or pricier than a Squarespace or a Wix website, because you're paying more for better hosting, faster service, or more security practices, or somebody to manage that hosting for you. So keep that in mind. Very often, those prices between the extra add-ons with Squarespace and the hosting with a WordPress, they wind up balancing out pretty evenly. So keep that in mind when you're talking about this. Pricing wise, it might be very similar. You may be looking more at features, at licensing, at ongoing costs, things like that. Here are some of the other open source CMSs that are out there. Magento is an e-commerce based CMS. It's really, really good for e-commerce. If you have a shop with thousands of products, Magento is perfect for that. PrestaShop's also pretty good. I don't care for Drupal and Joomla, but a lot of people use those. My thing's WordPress. I like WordPress. It's very flexible. It can do a lot. But because it can do a lot, it can't do everything well, like perfectly. So if you have more than like 1,500 products in your store, you probably don't want to use WordPress. You want to use Magento or Shopify or something like that. So WordPress is good for a lot of things, but not huge amounts of a lot of things. So keep that in mind too. Okay, and then if you wanted to talk about it, like the third option for websites is building your own HTML and CSS and JavaScript files, or your own database, and connecting those with ASP or PHP or whatever it winds up being. That is another option. If you're a developer, great, you can do that, but then you probably wouldn't be on this webinar. If you want to pay somebody for that too, you can, but that usually winds up being more expensive because it's a custom solution. Somebody's building you an application that usually only they can maintain. So you do want to make sure that you're paying for something within reason, and that you are going to be able to use it and manage it at some point on your own, or at least have a basic understanding or knowledge of it. Okay, trusted referrals. This is probably one of the most important points that I like to hit on, because anybody that you're working with, hosting providers, outside designer agencies, marketing agencies, consultants who are working on security practices or adding additional features in, or helping you with your business plan or your marketing plan or whatever it winds up being, make sure that you trust them as much as you absolutely possibly can. My industry is filled with untrustworthy people. Unfortunately, I have to say that I've been working this long enough that I know too many untrustworthy people in my industry. And it's a frustrating place to be, because it means that I have to fight against my own fellow designers and developers and consultants to make sure that I'm providing services that people can trust, and that they're not getting burned on my whole industry because of a bunch of bad apples, unfortunately. There's a lot of people out there that want to take advantage of you, and that will if they can. If you can get a referral from somebody who has used a consultant or a contractor before, do that. Go that avenue, because referrals that is the pinnacle of trust in my industry. If you can get a referral from somebody who used somebody and really actually trusts them, and that you trust, whose judgment you trust yourself, go that direction. The Women's Business Center, who's hosting this webinar, they have a whole database of people that they've worked with in the past they can refer out. So if you have questions, if you want to find somebody in the industry, specific industry, specific kind of background or experience, go to them or go to some of your friends or anybody and try to get a referral that way, because just finding somebody blind off of Google, it's one of the easiest ways to get burned, unfortunately. So that's my recommendation, especially when you're dealing with customer information, when you're dealing with really sensitive private info or data that can affect your whole business. You do want to make sure you trust somebody who's going to have potentially control over your entire website or your marketing databases or your customer accounts. So do whatever you can to minimize the fallout, and work with somebody that you know and that you feel like you can trust. Okay, we're done. We're done with the webinar, the presentation part of things. Let's open up the questions. And then I also want to make sure that you know that if you don't have questions for me, I can do walkthroughs. So I could do a walkthrough of installing WordPress or setting up a Squarespace site or whatever it is that you want. But I would love to get your questions. If you want to turn your mics on, if you want to use the Q&A, if you want to use the chat, I'm going to try to go into those. I apologize if I get things out of order, but go ahead and hit away, and I'd love to help out however I can.
Hi, I have been through experience with Wix for 2 years. I have a pet supply business that I was wanting to use Wix for to sell my products online. 2 years, and I didn't have too many sales, so I closed the account. I also have experience with WordPress. I did not like it. It was like I was so confused. I closed it. Now I'm having problems with my Facebook business page. Somehow I got deleted from being the owner and the administrator, and I didn't have
Ooh,
a backup.
okay.
I need to get that back because that's the only place that I've done business with
Okay.
through that page. How do I do that?
That is a complicated question. So I just helped one of my clients get access to a Facebook page, and it took a lot of effort. Even when there was nobody actively working against them, they had to they had to jump through so many hoops with Facebook, and even then, it wasn't guaranteed it would work. Miraculously, it did. Thankfully, it did. But they had to run through a lot of different avenues, do a lot of research, send a lot of documentation to get access to the stuff. So and they keep changing how their stuff is set up, so it's even more confusing to follow. Like in the middle of the process, they changed how their page was built and how it looked from an administrative point of view, and it just threw the whole process even more of a tailspin. So step number one, I would say, is make sure that you have some kind of administrative access to the page, even if it's like a minimal amount, even if it's just the ability to make a post, and you can't actually like manage the settings. Make sure you have some kind of admin access. If you don't, it's going to be a lot harder. Second is, if you are the business owner of your business and you have documentation, a business license, a registration with the state or the city, if you have a business plan or a what do you call it, like a mission statement, whatever it is, the thing that you have to submit that shows like that you're going to do business in the state and like promising to do it well, or whatever it winds up being. Gather all that documentation, everything that you can, along with proof that the name is yours, or that that you've worked on that Facebook page in the past, and you're going to want to find an email address, or it's really you're going to start like a help conversation with the Facebook team, and you're going to say, help, I need access to my Facebook page. What do I need to submit? And then you want to start submitting as much of this documentation as you can. They're going to make you try to prove everything. Prove that you own the page, prove that you've used it in the past, prove that it's your business, really, truly, honestly, is it your business? And that's not your business. You opened up in a different state trying to snag somebody else's Facebook page. There's a whole process they have to follow to make sure that they're not just turning over any old Facebook page to you. So remember that too. You're kind of fighting their own policies on this. But hopefully, eventually, you have enough a documentation, enough proof, enough emails, whatever it winds up being, to prove that you were the owner of this page and that you need full, total administrative access over it. And then you need to make sure that your page is organized properly according to Meta's organizational efforts. So they have like the Meta business account, and you create a managing account in the business account that manages a page, and depending on how that page is added to that managing account and who has access to that, you'll have different sort of administrative access than you would if you just directly added somebody to the Facebook page from the Facebook side. It is utterly ridiculous. If you want, and I should have mentioned this, and I keep forgetting, this is part of the webinar as well. The Women's Business Center provides hour-long consulting sessions with me and other designers, social media experts, et cetera, for free. So if you want to try to get this done as cheaply as possible, go through the Women's Business Center and ask for a free consultation with me or somebody else, whoever else that you think can help you out. And they will sign off on hour-long consulting sessions, and whoever is helping you, potentially me, will be able to sit down and try to help you sort through this on a one-on-one basis, and that might be helpful as well. So hopefully that was an answer to your question as much as I could.
Yes, thank you. I have already scheduled a consultation for next month, So I can't wait to do it. I don't have a problem submitting. I have my license, I have my state business
Okay.
number. So everything is under my business name as the same as my page. So I just want to know, who do I submit it to? Because I haven't been able to get help from, they don't answer the chats, they don't answer the emails. So I have everything ready to submit, but I don't know where or who.
Yeah, honestly, it is not a fun process. There's a lot of waiting. There is a lot of, uh, is anybody there? Hello. So, yeah, get used to that. Get prepared for that because it's gonna suck. But once you have an email address or once you have somebody who's responded to your message and continues the dialogue, it's kind of like you're in, and now you can keep going. And hopefully that process won't take a year. Hopefully it won't take 6 months. I think my client took about 3 to 3.5 months before they got access back. It took a while, but they got access. They got full control, total control over it. The person who had it in the past, she like canceled her Facebook and moved to Peru or something, and you never saw her again. And so like they couldn't just get it back. They had to like go through Facebook's thing, and they did wind up getting it. So hopefully you have a very successful story like that. That would be the goal.
Thank you.
You got it. Thanks for the question. Okay, I see Malaysia's hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, so I wanted to know, I want to build a landing page, and I'm sure like we can't unless you can do a whole business page. My thing is I don't really know how to design it and make it look professional, the a website.
Okay. Do you have a platform in mind that you would want to be building it on?
It's crazy you to mention GoDaddy because I had GoDaddy, but before this webinar, I was signing on to it, and because I had to change my phone number, they're making me go through a two-step verification process, and I have to appeal that and all that other stuff right now. So I was just most likely, because you said it's like you said, it's not that much to get another one. Probably get another one and use one of the ones that you recommended instead of GoDaddy.
Okay. You can also move it. So if you can get access to your old domain name, that's usually the
Right.
best. The older the domain name, the more likely you have some juice with Google, and you can use it for a new website. It's easier. You can also move it from GoDaddy to somewhere else. So if you don't want to stay with them, you can transfer your domain name. Still keep ownership of it, but transfer it from GoDaddy to
Whatever
Namecheap or
else.
whatever it is you wind up using. Exactly. So
Mm,
you don't have to keep it there.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so well what I needed, and I might have to book a consultation with you or something like that, is help
Okay.
with building a website.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah. So that's going to come down to the question you're going to ask is, what's your industry? What are you building? Um,
right.
what kind of a site do you want? How much control do you want to have over it? How comfortable are you with certain platforms and tools and features? And then we could try to figure out from there what the best platform is. And then the next step would be setting that platform up and then building a landing page on that platform. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
Mhm.
what can you put in the chat, or do you have an email that we message? Because on the New Women's Business Center, it doesn't have like a website unless somebody's seen something different. When I see book an appointment, it doesn't have like web design or web development consultation.
Yeah, so here, I'm gonna put this in email. I'm
Okay.
not supposed to give out my own, but what I'll do is I'll give out this email address.
Okay,
And what
perfect.
you do is right there, and this is the website itself. So email them that email address and say you're looking for a consultation with somebody who can help you with XYZ.
Okay.
And then they'll be able to put you in touch with a bunch of different people. And then I think you can select people as well. So if you don't want to work with somebody or you prefer to work with somebody else, you can make that call yourself. But yeah, just email somebody there, just say, attention all, or I think you could email Irene directly. She's one of the folks there, Irene Vasquez,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to point you in the right direction or help set up a consultation that way. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. So a lot of the questions that I can answer, they're going to be kind of general answers because I can only help you so much on a mass call like this. I can try to make it as a generic of an answer as possible. I can try to answer questions related to the industry or to like that in general. But when you're talking about specific questions, specific requirements for your site, that's going to either require a one-on-one or, you know, a consultation or whatever it winds up being. So, so try to keep them. I'm doing my best. I want to do my best, try and answer your questions as well as I can.
No,
But
you're
I kind
doing
of have to
great.
keep it broad.
You're
Yeah.
doing great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You got it. Okay. Arnesia, go ahead. Oh, and I've got some questions coming in here as well. And you, let me make sure that you can actually talk. Okay, here you go. Go ahead. You can talk now, I think. Okay, and then while you're getting that going, I will answer some questions as well. So I see, let's see. Maria says, I had Wix for my pet supply business. Oh, okay. Here, Arnesia says, if I want to go with a different company for an already in use domain name, should I cancel with GoDaddy first and or not? No, don't cancel first. You want to cancel last, basically. So if you have a domain name, you can do a transfer. So for instance, let's go to, I'll use Namecheap as an example. So Namecheap has a section here called domains and then domain transfer, you know, and then you put your domain name in, let's say, I don't know, Arnesia kittens.com. And then, yeah, it's not eligible for transfer because it's probably not a real domain. But if your domain was eligible for transfer, if you owned it, if it's on a different platform, it'll usually tell you it's available for transfer, and it'll give you the steps to follow. You pay them the certain amount of money, X amount of money that they want for the domain name, and then here are the steps to follow. You go in, you change these settings, you follow these instructions, and then that transfer takes place. That transfer will happen. Once that transfer happens, then, and you can verify that it's been in Namecheap, then you go into GoDaddy, you make sure that you're not paying anything extra for it anymore, or your account is shut down, or whatever it winds up being. But you want to verify that you have full total control and ownership over that Namecheap, over that new domain in Namecheap before you change any other services. Okay. And then MO says, in building your website on Shopify or Squarespace, do they charge you per page that you use or every time you upload new pictures? Neither, thankfully. Thank God they don't do it that way. So the way that it works is if you use a site builder, let's say Shopify, you will pay for a certain set of features. Here, I'll show you what those features are. Okay, so they'll tell you what those features are. Basic reports, credit card rates at this rate, 2.9% versus 2.6%, 2 staff accounts, 77% shipping discount, and then everything else is included. That means that you can build an unlimited number of pages, an unlimited number of products, upload an unlimited number of images, have an unlimited number of customers in your database. Unlimited. They make their money off of purchases. So as far as they're concerned, the more customers, the more pages, the more products you sell, the more money they're making. They're making 2.9% plus 30 cents off of every single purchase. So every single transaction. And that costs you $39 a month. Now, if you want a better rate on those transactions, you pay $105 a month, you get 2.6%. You get 1,000 inventory locations. So that means you can have up to 1,000 different stores on connected to your point of sale system with Shopify. It means you can have up to 5 staff accounts, 88% shipping discount. So it's a higher shipping discount. And so the more you pay, the more you get. But those features are the only features that are changing. Everything else, that unlimited amount of pages, unlimited amount of products, that applies. Same for Squarespace or any of the other site builders. An unlimited number of pages are almost always included. You should check the pricing on them, but for the main ones, Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, Weebly, whatever it winds up using, those are all unlimited everything. And then you're paying for certain features, certain accounts, a number of accounts in there, the ability to have e-commerce features. So Squarespace, you pay $15 and you can't sell products. You can only build basic pages. If you want to sell products, that's $30 a month. So that's what the extra you're paying for is the additional of those extra features. But usually that's an unlimited number of whatever it is you're building, as long as that feature is included. And then to answer your question, do they own your customer info? They may not own it, but they definitely have access to it, legal access to it. So if anybody has created a user account on your website or they've made a purchase, you have information about that purchase and that customer, but so does Shopify. So there's a really good chance that they're using that in some form or fashion. Now you can always check their privacy or their terms of use. So you can go here to, let's see, terms of service. And you can see what their confidentiality is. You can see what's included in their terms that way. If it meets your customer requirements for your own business, what would you call that? I guess your own operating requirements, then you can go with them. If not, you can try to find a different service, but there's most services nowadays, they make a little money on the side by selling customer data. So, it's going to be difficult to find a place that's not doing that. Or I should say, it'll be difficult to find a place that's not doing that if it's industry standard. If it's not, then usually they don't do it. But if it's industry standard, usually everybody's doing it. So make sure that's not industry standard, and then hopefully you can answer your question that way. Okay. Arnesia. And you got a lot of questions. I'm sorry. Is your microphone working now? Here, let me see if you can get that.
You're not talking to me, are you? This is Arnisa.
I am, yes.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I was pronouncing your name wrong. You had your hand up for a little bit and you were answering a bunch of questions.
That's okay. I think you answered everything
Okay.
for me, I want to say, but I am going to go ahead and probably end up scheduling an appointment with you, a consultation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I wasn't able to answer on time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Trelise asks, what's the difference between a landing page and a website / homepage? Good question. Okay. Best way to put this. Okay. Your website is, if one of the best ways to think about your website is a digital version of your storefront, if you have a storefront, or how your storefront would be if you had a physical storefront. So if you imagine opening the door to a shop that sells clothing. So you walk in the door and you got your clothing racks in front of you, and they've been laid out according to, the different, gender that clothing is assigned to. They've got the different racks for shoes and for hats and for jackets. And you got your accessories over here in a bin on the side. You got your checkout aisle with a bunch of, what do you call it? Impulse buys. And you've got your staff members off in the back or at the customer service counter. Your website, for the most part, reflects that storefront in some form or fashion using pages, chat bubbles, menus and sub pages in those menus, search features, etc. So your website is a representation of a digital store, of a physical storefront in digital form. That means that when somebody visits your homepage, that experience on your homepage should be like somebody walking into the door of your store and seeing everything for the first time in front of them. They see a glimpse of everything all at once on your homepage, and then they use the additional pages on your site to dig down into what they're looking for. So if somebody came to your clothing website looking for women's shoes, when you open the front door of that business, they're not going to see those shoes right away. They're going to see women's section. They're going to see a men's section. They're going to see a customer service section, and they're going to have to find what they're looking for by going to women's and then going to shoes. And so rather than walking across the floor to that section, they're going to use your page menu to make that sort. So if you think about it that way, then it sort of makes sense about how the layout of your website will follow. A landing page is unique in that, unlike a store, a landing page provides a single, very focused a goal and action for your visitor to perform. When somebody arrives at your landing page, it has a very targeted message on that landing page, preferably. So let's say you have an ad out on Facebook, and that ad says 20% off women's shoes for Black Friday sale. Let's get even more. Let's say 40% off women's shoes for a Black Friday sale. All black shoes are 40% off. And you click on the ad. That ad doesn't just take you to your website, your homepage. That would do nothing. It doesn't even take you to the women's shoe section on your homepage. It takes you to a very special web page that's been set up called 40% off Black Friday women's shoes black. And what you've done with that page is you have created a set of products that are narrowed down to that one specific category that matches your ad. So when somebody clicks on that ad, they come to a page that has only the products that you're selling with that one sale. And they can't do anything except either buy a product from that page or leave. And that's the two choices you've presented to them. If they really, really want to, they can probably find other links on your site. They can try to find the homepage. They can maybe click around and see some of their stuff. But what's really out in front, the only thing that you're trying to get them to do is either buy something or leave. And now you've narrowed down that customer's actions to a 50-50 choice. Usually they leave. But the better your page is, the more likely it is that they will stay and they will buy something. That's what a landing page does. It's a targeted call to action that only performs one single goal. It only has one specific goal. So a landing page, that is a coming soon page. It's not really a landing page. That is a coming soon page. A single site home page, that's not a landing page. That is just one page that performs all the actions of your website. Your landing page is very different. It's a very specific, very targeted page with a very targeted, specific message to do something, to fill out a form, or to call now, or to buy now, or to sign up for emails now. And it's called a call to action. And that's what your landing page does. And very often you could have hundreds or thousands of landing pages, each with their own targeted message. Your Black Friday sale on women's black boots in 2023 is going to be its own landing page. You may have another landing page that's just for selling, men's Converse sneakers. That's just for selling, baby bassinets in Santa Monica. And your message on that page says Santa Monica residents, or it references Santa Monica, or it has pictures of Santa Monica Pier on it, and it talks about baby bassinet. I mean, I'm making stuff up as I go, but you get the idea. That page is a very targeted page that you have found will be successful among a certain number of clientele. So hopefully that makes sense, and it wasn't too rambling of a explanation. Okay. Yeah. So for instance, I'm sorry, I love landing pages. I love talking about them. It's an interesting concept. So I run my own design agency, and one of the tools that I use to make sure that my site is working correctly is Google Analytics. So I can go on Google Analytics and I can see who's visiting my website. I can see specifically where they're visiting my website from. I'm based in Ohio. I'm living in Ohio right now. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. So I can see who is visiting my website from certain cities or counties around Ohio. If I wanted to, if I saw that there were a certain number of people visiting my website from a very specific a city, in my case, I do actually. I use, let me see if I can go find it. I'm gonna go use I just gotta get on my client one so you don't see that, and then I can show you mine without any problem at all. There we go. Okay. So I want to, I can go to reports and I can go and see acquisition, user acquisition. I can see where people are coming from. Let's see. Trimming acquisition. Where is it? I always lose track of where it is in here. Let's try this. Users by city. Post ID. Let's see. By city today. Okay, so I've got yeah, users by city. Here it is. Okay, so I've got a lot of users coming in from Boardman, Ohio. So I go to Boardman, Ohio. This is a township. I think it's over by Cleveland. Yeah, okay, it's like right on the border by Youngstown. So I know that people are visiting my website. I've got 12 visitors on my website from Boardman between August 17th and 23rd. So that's since last Monday, I've had 12 people specifically from Boardman. I do business in Columbus. I have 9 people from Columbus. So I know that I have people visiting my website from Boardman, Ohio. If I wanted to, if I thought that it would be a good use of my time and a potential way to increase traffic on my website, I would build a landing page specifically for users from Boardman. And I could dive down even further and I could see who came from Boardman and which pages they wound up landing on more often. Maybe it was my website hosting page. And so I would go on and would say, I build a landing page that says, looking for a website host for your business in Boardman, Ohio, ? Do this, click on this button, do more, learn more, see more, follow these steps. Here's my call to action. And there's a chance that somebody from Boardman would land on that page and they would say, oh, this is a page specifically for me. They work in my city or they're specifically catering to my business. I'm not really, it's a landing page that's just meant to appeal to them more, but that's what that landing page would do. So that's what you use that for. You use Google Analytics, you use whatever analytics tools you're using, and you figure out what people are looking for the most, what appeals to them the most, and you make your landing pages appeal to that interest as much as you possibly can, so that when somebody visits your site, the first thing they see catches their interest immediately. It catches their eye. They see terms they're familiar with that they're looking for that exactly meet their requirements, and that's what a landing page is used for. Okay, I'm sorry, I keep rambling about landing pages. I love them so much. Okay, let's talk about something else. Any other questions for me that I can answer, or would you like me to use one of these tools, WordPress, Shopify, Squarespace, whatever, and show you how to set one up and how to use the built-in themes, or find a theme with using WordPress, whatever it winds up being, and do what I can to help you out with that.
Please do a demonstration, please. That would be awesome.
Any platform or anything that you prefer to see?
Not WordPress, but like
Not
something
WordPress.
Yeah, not Word. If I don't know, anybody could jump in, but I'm just speaking for me. I would say not WordPress, but something that's more easily, like, easier to understand, if I could say it like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
E-commerce, not e-commerce?
E-commerce.
E-commerce.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do Shopify then, most likely. We can also do, let's say Wix. We'll do Wix too. Okay, cool. Well, let's do that then. I have a lot of questions coming in, so let's get started with that. So I'm going to show you what to do from the very beginning, just starting with a regular, site setup. Shopify doesn't allow me to have like one account with multiple websites. I have to set up a new email address for each one of them. So, excuse me. We're going to do, let's call it W6. Okay. Okay, so we've just created our account and we're going to set up a store now. Shopify is a little bit unique from the other platforms in that it doesn't just work as a website. It's not just a website. It is a e-commerce, or I shouldn't even say e-commerce. It is a commerce platform. So they intend you to use Shopify in as many places as you possibly can, including as a point of sale system in your store, or as an app on your phone, or as your website, or as oh boy, you can even connect it to WordPress and other website platforms as well to sell products. So Shopify is a commerce platform. It's a broad commerce platform. One of their features is an e-commerce site, a website that sells your products there. So using Shopify is really, really easy if you have a lot of products, because it allows you to use those products, to manage those products in a variety of different ways, including both on your website and in person. So if you have a store and you also sell online, you don't have to have your products in two different places. You have them in one place on Shopify, and they automatically sync back and forth. So if you sell a product in your store, that quantity goes down online. If you sell your product online, you know that you have less to put on your shelves, et cetera. So that's one of the ways to think about it. It's more about the products, less about the website. So let's just say we're starting now. We're going to do an online store. We're going to say we also have an existing. Oh, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do an online store. If you wanted to, we could also connect your Shopify store to listings on Amazon, on Walmart, etc. So you can make sure that your products are syncing back and forth through other marketplaces. And if you're selling products on Instagram's feed, you can do that. If you do have a store, you can make sure it's connected as well. We're just going to go simple with the online store, but they do have those features. We're going to do products I make it by myself. You can do drop shipping. We're not going to ignore that. And then on-demand products like, a Vista print or whatever, you could do something like that too. Okay, we're going to just call it here. Let's call it. So we're going to call it Malaysian pastries. We're going to call it Malaysia's pastries. You have a new business now.
That was awesome.
Okay. We're in the US. That's nice. We're going to choose an account. We're going to build the store. Now, one of the other things that sets Shopify apart from the other site builders is they also allow you to install and customize your own themes. So Shopify has a marketplace of applications and also design elements like website themes that will allow you to customize your website in a really unique, interesting way. So if you If you don't like what comes installed with your website, you can always update that as you like. So this is going to give you a walkthrough here. We're going to start with the setup guide. And let's go through those on a step-by-step basis, because it's usually the best way to get introduced to the platform following their steps. Let's add a product. So we're talking about pastries here. So here, let's go find an image. We'll use splash. We're going to get an image of a pastry. Here, let's get a muffin. There we go. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Let's download this muffin photo. There we go. Okay. So we're going to call this what is this? This is a chocolate chip muffin? No, it's a cranberry muffin. Okay, well, this is a cranberry muffin. And we got some information about it. We'll just do some. Okay, so we got a little bit of information about it. I think we do a longer bit as well. Let's see. No, is that it? Okay, that's fine. So we'll do this. Okay, we'll add the file. So let's upload that photo. There we go. Let's give it a price. Let's say it's I don't know, how much are muffins now? $7. It's too expensive. And then the cost per item. This is your information. So this is what you say this muffin costs. We'll say this muffin costs you $1.50 to make, but that doesn't include the overhead. So you know what you're making. You're making $5.50 profit. We do want to track the quantity. So let's say we have 32 at our store. And then we'll continue selling when they're out of stock, so that if we don't have them in our store anymore, we can still bake some more. We'll say it's a physical product. Let's pretend we can put it in a box. So we'll say it weighs, I don't know, what, 0.2 pounds. I don't know how much a muffin weighs. And we can also do things like, let's actually just make this a muffin. And then we'll go in and we'll make some variations. So we'll say it's a different style of muffin. And we'll say cranberry. And we'll say chocolate chip. And we'll say, what do you see? Say a coffee muffin? I don't know. Okay, we got a bunch of different variations right now. They all cost the same, except for the coffee that costs $7.25 because, and then we'll say we also have a bunch of them available. So let's say we have 24 cranberries, we have 8 chocolate chips, and we have 98 coffee muffins. Now, we also go over here, we want to make some categories. So let's make a category here. We'll call this food. Did I say muffin? Muffins, there we go. So we got a product category for muffins. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're good there. So let's save it. Okay. So now if we want to, we can preview what our muffin looks like on our website. So we've got our muffin. It's a beautiful muffin. We want a chocolate chip muffin or a coffee muffin. And we can assign images to those different variations as well. Either way, it's going to show us the prices, $7.25 for the coffee, $7 for the cranberry. We can select the number of quantity we have of those. We can add them to the cart. We can buy it now. Let's add those to the cart. And now we've got 10 cranberry muffins in our cart. That's going to cost us $70. This is an expensive bakery. Now, we've also got, when we built our website, it also generated a really basic default website for us here. It's got some some placeholder images. It's only got one product in there because we only created one product. And the catalog here only has one product in it. And the contact information is just a basic form. If we want to, we can keep adding more information to this website. But right now, that's the first thing we do. We created a product and we spun up a real general website. let's continue setting up the store. We can customize the theme using Shopify's library of themes. But we also have the ability to add our own by uploading a zip file. And we can go to something like themeforest.net and find a Shopify theme here. These cost $63 and $89 and $34, depending on what the theme is, but it allow you to hunt through those. So let's do a search for a muffin.
Can I ask
There you
a
go.
quick question?
Sure.
So I've in past used Canva and they have templates to use to build a website. Is that something you're familiar with, or have you know anything about that? I've
So,
never
yeah,
applied it because I've never built a website with it, but I just made it on Canva.
Yeah, I believe Canva has a site building tool there as well.
It does. Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
literally-
I haven't used that one before.
Okay. Yeah, so like I would just type in there like website templates and like input my information, but I've never tried to like take it and put it on like Shopify or GoDaddy and like
Gotcha.
build, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll give you, I don't know what they actually generate for you, if it's just an image or if they generate like the code for you.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't do it that way if you're using somebody else's platform. If you're using a platform like Shopify, that code, whatever they generate for you, it's not really going to be helpful. You can't upload code like that to your Shopify store. There are specific ways you can upload your own content. For instance, if you come here and you get this theme is built and packaged in such a way that if you do download it, you can upload it to your Shopify store and it actually works.
Right.
If you just download some old code off of a site or Canva or whatever, you can't upload that way. You're going to have to really like customize it by getting deep into the design details. So
okay.
yeah, so you can use it. Honestly, you can use it as like a reference. You can use it as a wireframe or a almost like a storyboard for your website, where you can see this is kind of what I'm going for. This is the theme I'm looking at. This is the colors I'm looking for. It's a good place to start with Canva. But when it comes to the details itself, you're going to have to find a theme or a theme builder that allows you to get as detailed as you want to.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question. That's an awesome question. Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Tanya. I see your hands up too.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I already had a person create my my logo and my color theme and all of that. How would I go about that? Like, how would that person get like the Pantone specific colors for the background and the letters and the letter types and all of that?
Okay, well, let's talk about that. So we're using Shopify as an example of building a store. So how would we get that information into the Shopify theme?
Correct.
The first one would be, let's find a theme that matches closely to what we're looking for. And then we can customize elements like colors and fonts and layout. So let's find let's customize this current theme how we want. There isn't a lot of color on this one, so let's find another theme. We'll visit the theme store, and there is a built-in one in Shopify, or you can also download your own, like I was showing. Let's find, let's see, all themes. We'll say free ones. This one looks pretty good. Let's go with this one here. So we'll try this theme. It's going to install it. Okay, so it's going to keep going. This will spin for another minute. In the meantime, we'll go download some other photos. Let's say this one here.
Are the photos you're grabbing free, or do you have to pay for them so somebody doesn't come and like try to see?
These are free. These are all commercially licensed free photos. You can, I just shared the link in the chat. So yeah, this is an awesome website. There's a
Thank
couple
you.
other ones that I like to use. Pixabay kind of sucks. Their images aren't that great, but you can still use them. Pexels actually is just Pixabay's best photos. So you can use that too, to narrow that down. Okay, where are we? Here we go. Okay, so let's customize our new theme. This is the Crave theme. So this is the new themes. We can see our muffins already kind of been fit into this theme. So we didn't have to do much for the website to be changed. But we can also do things like the theme, change the theme settings. So right now we've got colors here. Accent number 1, solid button label number 1. These are all of the colors we've got. Let's change. Let's see. Can we change the brand colors easily? I have a feeling we can't. We're probably gonna have to go through one at a time and do it. Let's see, theme style. That. Okay, so let's, for instance, let's use a different accent color. So let's find a different accent. I also like to use a tool called Coolers. I'm going to share this as well. This is one of my favorite tools to use when I'm coming up with a color palette. It allows me to generate a color palette really quickly and easily by saving and regenerating randomly certain color sets. So this is one that it just gave me. I'm going to press the spacebar button. It's going to give me a whole different one. These are all different color sets that are being generated. All these colors work together. Each color in that palette works together with the others. And every time you regenerate it, it comes up with a different set. This is kind of cool. But let's go with one that's a little bit more food related. That one was pretty good too. This was kind of nice. There we go. Well, no, sorry, I'm getting really picky here. Let's see. This one's kind of cool. Let's go with this one here. So we'll say the plum color is going to be our main color. So let's go back over to our website, and we're going to change this accent color, this plum. And the light color is probably going to wind up being a version of that. So let's go into our picker here, and we'll do that. Okay, and then our accent 2 is going to be this color here. There we go. We'll just change those 3 just as an example. Let's save. And there we go. We just changed our colors. So we've got our pink and we've got our green, and we've still got text. We got to change the text. Let's make the text this dark green. And the outline buttons that dark green. There it is. So our text is changing as we go. So that's how we change the colors in Shopify. And if we don't like one of the colors that are being used right here, we can go into this and we can pick a different color that's using. We can say this is going to use, let's see if we can change that, but we can also go to, let's just go back to the theme here, and we'll change this accent color to something else. Let's make this maybe this gray, this green here. There we go. So now it's a little bit more readable. It doesn't look as bad with that pink. So that's what we're doing with the theme in Shopify. All it comes down to is changing your colors in that panel. If we want to change the font, we can change the font here by going to, we've got we've got some pre-built font packages, some libraries here that'll give us, but we can also search for something too. We got Lato is one of the big ones. Just change that up and go with something fancier. We can try to find like another serif font that's nice. Yeah.
So
would you
buy a template from Unsplash, or will you buy or use a free template and then tweak it? Which one would be easier to tweak?
It's gonna depend on, well, so Unsplash is just for photos. No.
Oh, sorry.
Flash. So download your photos there. If you want, you can try out some of the themes in Shopify store. They have free themes and they have paid themes. You can also go to a third-party theme site like this one here, where you can find a bunch of themes that are available. So for instance, I found a theme that's all about bakeries. So if I go here, I can scout out this theme. And I can see here's the way that this website would look just by being spun up. And then I can probably go in and I can change colors and fonts and things like that once this theme is made. So this theme may get me 92% of the way there. And then I just have to get the other 8% by changing the colors that I want, adding my own logo and, et cetera. So that's probably one of the fastest, easiest ways to do it.
Thank
Go
you.
to your store, put your keywords in, hunt through until you find something that you like, install it or buy it and install it, and then tweak the details until you get it just perfect. That's probably the fastest, easiest way to go about it.
Awesome. Thanks.
You got it. Good question. Okay, so we've got our design down. We'll pretend we've got our design down. There's a lot more we could do. But we'll say that the typography is pretty good. Honestly, this doesn't really look like a muffin store. So we can change all that stuff later. But right now we'll go with the image. We'll change this image here to our nice big muffins image. Oops, it didn't work. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh, it's supposed to be smaller. That's why. Here, let's get a smaller photo. There we go. Okay, now let's try it. There we go. And now almost instantly, this website will begin to look better. As soon as you start adding your own custom images in, everything starts to look really, really good and starts to come together. It's awesome. So we've got our picture here of the muffins. We can change things like, the headline here. So we'll say something like, I'm muffin without you. Just trying to be clever here. Get deals on our pastries through April 30th. Get spring deals on our pastries through April 30th. Shop all, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we keep going there. This will take us to all products, etc. So we've just customized our site a little bit. And let's go back now to we'll publish. Let's make sure that it's working correctly. Okay, so now we've got our site up. It looks a little bit better than it did before. We can add some more pages now. So we've got a contact page already. This just has some, basic information about, we can go ahead and add our email in, contact at pagestreams.com, put the phone number in, blah, and now it's going to show up on the site. We can view the page if we want to preview it. Here's our contact information. Here's our contact form. We also may want to add another page. So let's add a page, and we're going to call this one. We'll call this one. Let's call this one fresh baked breads. And what this page will do is it will display all of the products that are labeled as bread on our site. So when we go into our product category catalog and we start adding products in there, one of the categories we're going to add is bread. And then whenever someone visits this page, they're going to see all the products that have to do with bread. So let's save that. And we'll go to products. Let's add another product. We're just going to call this one bread. Let's find another image here. Okay, so now we're going to go to bread. Breads. Oh, no, that's beads. Breads and buns. And then we're gonna do a collection here. We're gonna say breads. Let's stay first. We'll save this. So now we're going to want to create a collection. So let's create a collection. We're going to call this breads collection. And all products in here are going to have to be bread. So we're going to say the product tag, we'll say the product category is equal to breads and buns. So now any product that's labeled under the category breads and buns automatically be added to this category. And then if we go to our page, well, let's go to the category, let's go to the collection. So we'll view the collection. Here's our bread. So we can add more, and this will automatically pop up in here. We can also add a page that will give us some specific information that we can customize along with adding this collection. So we can go to home. Sorry, not there. We'll go to store. There it is, pages. Let's go to our Facebook breads. Oh, this is just content. Okay, gotcha. So this is just basic information. We can add, once we have a theme in there that will add certain page types, we can go in here to the theme template and give it a more customized design work. But right now, this will be pretty basic at the moment. So that's kind of how that works. I believe we can add more customization later on. Shopify is a little bit different when it comes to page design. It doesn't let you get super in-depth to the design work on every single page like some of the other site builders can. We can customize navigation. We can go into depth with this, but basically we're just changing how the font, the menu font up in the top works, how those are laid out, how those pages are categorized with sub pages or with additional links or whatever. That'll give us that information there, and then we can keep on going to adding a custom domain. As soon as you add a custom domain to your Shopify store and make it work with that domain, you're gonna have to start paying for Shopify. Right now, we have a 15-day free trial that will allow us to build a certain amount of information into our website for free. It can't go live. You can't show your site to anybody, but you can see what it looks like this way. So it'll give you an idea of how this platform works before you invest all kinds of time and effort into actually running your store with it. You can also get to use the analytics here. You can get into the how people make payments on your site, what credit cards you accept, what kind of financing you provide through Shopify's services. Meta object definitions. So we're getting into the weeds here. I haven't actually used any of this stuff. This is getting into like some really in-depth detail. But customer database is where that belongs, and then your product database is going to be the most important element of your Shopify site. So getting this right is important. If you have a data or a spreadsheet or a database of products that you can import, that's probably the fastest, easiest way to go. That way you can get everything done all in one go. You don't have to go through every single page and make changes to it that way. Once it's set up in here though, and you've got all your product variations set up correctly, you have a number of product variations and the images and everything else all working, then once your site's spun up and working and live, then it'll manage your inventory amazingly well and allow you to connect point of sale systems and mobile applications that connect and communicate back and forth, along with online marketplaces, Amazon, Walmart, third-party stuff, whatever you wind up using. Okay, I'll stop talking. What would you recommend for setting up hospitality, real estate, home rental, or direct booking sites? Not Shopify. Shopify is an e-commerce platform. So in that case, I would probably wind up going with something like Wix or Squarespace or WordPress. In that case, you can get a really specific theme or a specific set of tools that will allow you to do that. Direct booking sites, talking about services here. So in that case, I'd probably go with, well, maybe we'll do it with Shopify site. Let me think. So, real estate, home rental. Real estate, you're going to want to go with WordPress or a platform that is dedicated to real estate. Home rentals, yeah, you're going to want all that stuff on there. I'd probably go with WordPress if you're wanting something that gives you a lot of flexibility. WordPress is going to be one of the better ones. There are also other platforms that will do like really highly specific stuff like hospitality or direct booking. You can look into those. They're not going to be as supported as WordPress is. If you go with WordPress, you can get plugins that will add that functionality in. And those plugins are going to do exactly what you want them to do with a bit of customization. And the WordPress platform is a lot better supported. So you'll have a lot more success using that. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else that you'd like me to go through?
If you have any recommendations for like a blog page or a blog website, yeah.
WordPress. WordPress
Oh, okay.
is the originally it was the blogging platform. That's how it started out, and they've since added features onto it. Now, depending on the site that you're using, so for instance, if you have an e-commerce site on Shopify, Shopify does have a blog feature that you can add onto your website that will allow you to write and distribute your blog posts directly in your site. You don't have to have some third-party add-on or go somewhere else. You can do it all right here. If you're just looking for a blogging platform, WordPress is your guy. It is it's specifically optimized for blog posts. So you can get away with having a WordPress blog for like $3 a month using a cheap hosting provider and a basic theme that doesn't cost you anything, or costs you one $40 payment, a one-time payment. That's probably what I would wind up going with when it comes to blogs.
Okay, that makes sense. So WordPress for a blog page, but if it's attached to your e-commerce page, then using it on Shopify would be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Whatever platform you have, it'll usually have a blogging feature, and just use that. And that way you don't have to have two different platforms that you're managing. It's all in one place.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Mhm.
perfect.
Yeah, so you can create a blog post. It's probably not going to be as like highly detailed and have all the features that WordPress might have, but it'll have enough. It'll do enough for what you need it to do.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You got it. Tanya, go ahead.
Hi, Matt. I know that I will probably be using Shopify later this year when I'm getting ready to open my retail shop. It's going to be an online retailer of women's clothing, and it's going to
Okay.
only be like 5 pieces. So I
Okay.
was thinking, I mean, this sounds super interesting and I'm like intrigued. So what if I want to start playing with it and I can try to create, my own website and then just so I can learn. And then would it be too difficult to bring in later a consultant to like fine tune it? And I don't want to create more work potentially for somebody to come and fix all my mistakes. I don't know how easy it would be to even mess this up. It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so it's difficult to mess it up if you get started the right way. So Shopify, again, it's all about the products and the product catalog that you have. So as long as you're setting up your products the way that you want, it'll be really, really hard to mess up anything down the road. The only thing that you'd really be doing is investing time into fine-tuning the current theme. And then at that point, if you change to a different theme, or if you want to make additional changes to your existing theme, that's what you're hiring somebody to do. And that's their job. They just go and they make the tweaks that they need to make, and they add the features or the tools or whatever they need to add. Otherwise, the products are going to stay exactly the same, and they're just going to look different in whatever theme they're dressed up in.
Okay, so it's not too crazy, right? Of an expectation for me to
No, not at all.
get my
You're
hands.
dealing with 5 products. It's not going
Yeah.
to be a huge store. You're probably going to be really, really easy. One of the
And
easier clients some of these folks have used. Yeah,
So I
for
bought
sure.
my domain name through, and I have the trademark already. I got it like 5 years ago through GoDaddy.
Cool. Okay.
So if I want to play with it, but because you said that you can create it and then have, I don't know how many days to, to see what it's going to look like. But then if I want to have a host, like who should host it? I can start paying for it. So I can have my marketing person go in there and just, see what I'm doing and see what it looks like. And then later the person who will fine tune it, But what if I want to start, it won't be live. I won't be selling anything yet, but I wanted to have it accessible to the people that I need feedback from.
Okay. So if you want, you can have, first of all, don't move your domain name if you don't have to. Keep your domain name where it is. Point it to Shopify. So what'll happen is they'll say, do you want to connect your custom domain to it? You say yes. And then what you can do is you could set up a subdomain on with your existing domain name. So I don't know, example would be, Tanya.com. If you have your domain name set up, Tanya.com already on its existing website or pointing where it needs to go, you create a subdomain called test.tanya.com. And that subdomain would point here to Shopify. And now anybody that you want to, you could share that link with them and they could see it, but it's not taking traffic away from your main domain name use. When you're ready to, then you point your primary domain name to Shopify. You make the changes you need to in the back end for that to work. You point it, and now when people visit Tanya.com, they're visiting your main website, your Shopify site.
So I shouldn't have it. I mean, it's still be the real website, just not active for the public to see.
Right. Yes. So so it would still be a working site. It would still be you would pay for Shopify. You would keep that site up and running, and the way to access it would either be connecting a subdomain from your custom domain name, or just using the one they give you. Because right now you can visit. I believe you can visit this. Let me check. Okay. Yeah. So here, I'm going to share this link with you guys. If you want to, you can visit the link that I just spun up for this. You need a password to get in, but if you wanted to, you could share this website with somebody else. And this is what the domain is. The URL is malaysiaspastries.myshopify.com. And then you just make sure that if you're sharing with somebody that you want to see it, you give them a password to log in.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, you got it. All right, we got 10 more minutes left. So let me wrap up, and then if anybody has any questions, we can answer those. So thank you again for attending. I really appreciate your time today. My name is Matt Chimento, and I've been doing this for 2.5 years now. It's been awesome. I am a consultant for the new Women's Business Center in Los Angeles. If you don't know who they are, they're a nonprofit organization operated by, actually they're a program operated by New Economics for Women, which is a nonprofit organization in Los Angeles. And the Women's Business Center is funded by the Small Business Administration in the United States, SBA. Their entire purpose is to help entrepreneurs get their businesses up and running and working correctly. So if you have any questions, anything at all, from starting your business with a business plan to getting funding for your business, with financial, with loans, with financial information, with help with your actual finances that way, to learning how to position your products correctly in your industry. They are experts at all that stuff, and they work with experts who can help, and they host programs with certain industries like the food industry or the fashion industry, or the entertainment industry. They have workshops pretty much every single day of the month. And they're local, so you can show up to their office. They're in They're out in what it's called now. It's been a while since I've lived there. Where are they? Here they are, in Oga Park. So they're up there in the valley, and they do amazing work. I've been working. The lady who runs this place is named Ruth Garcia Corrales. She's an incredible woman. I've been working with her since like 2016. And her partner Irene basically are some of the most knowledgeable, friendly, kind people you've ever met. If you want anybody partnering with your business, they're the people who do so. You can book an appointment with them for free. You can send them an email and they will help you for free. You can join their programs for free. Pretty much everything they do is free. So if you have the opportunity to reach out to them, get in touch with them, please do so. For appointments or consultations with me or other consultants they work with, reach out to them by email, ask for a consultation. They can give you referrals. They can point you in other directions with other industries, other leaders, experts. They're awesome people. So please get in touch with them if you haven't already. And then thank you for attending this workshop. I do this every single month. So if you have any questions next time, feel free to join. It's usually the last Monday of the month. And I'm here on camera and doing the same thing every month. It's been awesome. So thank you again for the questions and for helping out as well. It was great talking to you guys today.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I'm here for another 10 minutes until the webinar shuts down. So if you have anything else you want to ask me, I'm here.
Do you build websites like for Shopify? Are you one of the consultants that could do that, to drive your own business?
I can, yes, I do. And this is what I do for a living.
Perfect.
So I usually work with WordPress websites, but I've done Shopify, I've done Squarespace and Wix and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, I can definitely help.
Do you have any idea what your going rates are, or does it go by hour or whatever? Mine's going to be, as I said, only 5 products. It's going to be pretty simple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I go by hour. E-commerce sites are usually a little bit more complicated because of the product categories, because you got to make sure that everything's sorted and working correctly, and that the products are set up correctly and the store is working correctly, because there's more moving parts. You've got a shopping cart and a checkout process, and you've got potentially user accounts. So there's usually a bit more to it involved. I charge hourly, but I always try to estimate the cost of that project ahead of time, and hopefully give you an idea so that if you want to take that number and shop it around elsewhere, you can do that too. So that's usually what I end up doing.
Do you have your own website that you could give us the contact information?
I do. I usually recommend going to the Women's Business Center first because they want to track who people are contacting. But if you want, you can check me out here. I would just recommend, if you do reach out to me directly, tell me that you're coming from the Women's Business Center webinar, and that way I can let them know.
Perfect.
Because it's all, we're all connected here. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. You got it. Thank you.
I just seen on your website, just reading over, it says you do logo design as well.
Yes, I do. I work with anybody really, because it's a remote job, it's online. I can work with anybody really anywhere. But I work with a lot of folks in Ohio because I'm based in Ohio. So that is kind of where my locality resides. But we do like optimizing for local audiences, no matter where you are.
And do we have a limited number of times that we can book with you through the Women's Business Center?
Yeah, I think they told me recently they book up to 2 hours, I think, total. Reach out to them and ask them. I think the last time they told me it was 2 before, 2 free consultations before you have to pay whoever you're talking to. But I think that was the last time I heard.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Thank you for all the great questions too. I appreciate that. That was awesome.
Thank you so much, Matt. This was amazing. Very helpful.
Yeah. Did I get your name right? Is it Tanya or is it
Tanya?
Tanya. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Thank you. I'll be in
for
touch.
your time, Tanya. Of course. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, guys. Yeah. All right. Let's end it here. I'm gonna cancel the recording. Let's stop the recording. And then I think some